Welcome back to another episode of Small College Conversations powered by Blue Frame Technologies. My name is Nick Rule. I'm the Director of Athletics at William Penn University and a Business of Small College Athletics board member. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by a really impressive leader in college athletics, someone who I've been wanting to connect with in this avenue before, and we connected with at Bosca, but John Ashaolu from the athletic director from Point Park University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. John, dude, so good to connect with you. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Hope all is well with you. Just here, we're getting to this first day of spring here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So we're like mid 50s. I'm enjoying the sunshine, so to speak. But yeah, just busy as always.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And yeah, same thing kind of here in Iowa. We got baseball today, and it's going to be like 65, and you'll have people out in shirts and shorts. It'll be wild.
Yeah,
Good to have you, man. So let's talk a little bit about your pathway to the chair. When did you know you wanted to be an AD? What was your path?
So I was a former college student athlete. I played Division I basketball at University of New Orleans for 2 years, and then I transferred to an NAIA school, Xavier University, HBCU in New Orleans, Louisiana. And so I think that after my junior year at Xavier University was when I started kind of thinking about, okay, what do I want to do next? Obviously, playing professional basketball was an option. I was also, just saying, what do I want to do? And I know I want to stay in athletics. I just didn't know like at what level. And I did an internship in our athletic department my junior year, and that kind of struck me like, well, okay, this might be something cool to do. I got to know our SID a little bit closer. I actually wrote our end of the year review as a press release that year, and just got to peel layers back a little bit and see what went on behind an athletic department. And in my senior year, I did an internship for the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation. So I know I was going to be in athletics. I just didn't know at what level. I didn't know if it was going to be coaching or in administration. So that's kind of what, led me, into athletics. And, if you want me to go a little bit further, I got right into coaching right after I graduated. I coached at a community college in Texas called Trinity Valley Community College. And then from there, got an opportunity to come to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to work on the men's basketball staff at Duquesne University. My old assistant coach from Xavier University got a job up here at Duquesne University, and then we've been in touch and told me, hey, there's an opportunity here for you. So came to Pittsburgh, thought it'd be like a 2-3 year thing. I worked there for 2 years, left and went to East Carolina University as the director of basketball operations. And then after that, I decided I wanted to just get into something a little bit more stable and wanted to get into athletic administration. And like I said, I always knew I was going to continue working athletics. So I started at the high school level, came back to Pittsburgh from East Carolina, came back here and started a private high school here that was very known for its athletic program, especially football. Had some players that have played in the NFL that actually went to high school there. So I was the athletic director there, and I just kind of like got thrown into the fire and just learning day by day and just, reaching out to other veteran ADs to learn it. And, after a couple of years there, decided I eventually wanted to get to a 4-year school, wanted to get to college level. There's a 2-year school not too far from where I lived, still in Pittsburgh, that had a job opening for an athletic director position. Threw my hat in there. By God's grace, got the job there, did that for 3 years, and then went to another community college, still in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Community College of Allegheny County, did that for almost a year. And then a job opened up here at Point Park University, which is a 4-year school, still in Pittsburgh. Didn't have to move my family because at that time I was starting to think about having a family and I was married. So threw my hat in at Point Park University and got the position here, and I'm in my 4th year here now.
You have I love your path because you go to the coaching and then you touch in the high school world, you get in the community college world. And, for a lot of our audiences, small colleges, Division II, NAI, like you and I are in, Division III, junior colleges and such. And I'm always fascinated by the people that have had experience in, those different levels. When you went from the junior college level to the 4-year level, did your change in leadership and the approach that you had in your department, did that have to change at all?
Yeah, I think it did. I mean, my staff got bigger, and just not that junior. I cut my teeth at the junior college level, and I love junior college, but I think it felt like things got just a little bit more serious at this level. Like for example, I had more full-time coaches under my belt, so there's a lot of accountability that had to be done on my part. So it was
Mhm.
like, it was just, again, all the same things I was doing at junior college level and even at the high school level, but it was just
Mhm.
had to be heightened here at Point Park University when I was at the 4 year level.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. That makes sense. And you're in your fourth year now, right?
Correct.
So in your fourth year, what are some things that you've learned that, have surprised you and maybe forced you to pivot a little bit?
Well, at Point Park University, obviously, we're a small private urban university. Enrollment is huge here, right? We survive day
Mhm.
to day, year to year in enrollment.
Yep.
So the aspect of the student athlete enrollment
Yeah.
being very important to the viability of the university was something that I wasn't really used to in the past, right? I mean, so the net tuition revenue aspect of things in terms of, student athletes, we're bringing in this many student athletes and that's
Mhm.
providing the university X amount of dollars was just a way I had to like rethink things there and just like really pivot
Yeah.
a little bit and know like, hey, this is very important to the university because I'm in an enrollment meeting every other week with our couple of our other VPs and things of that nature. And, just looking at the numbers and all the data, the analytics, and just saying, wow, this is how much athletics alone brings to the university on a yearly basis. And so yeah, that's one of the things that kind of made me pivot a little bit and kind of understand the enormity of the position that I'm in. And obviously, when you're responsible for bringing millions or a million plus to the university, that's a very important role. Another thing that just made me pivot, and I'm sure this happens for you too, is the mental health side of things
Mhm.
with our student athletes.
Yeah.
As a former student athlete, back in my day, mental health wasn't a big thing. And, I could say at first, when that topic started creeping around, I was like, people are just people can't just be soft. And, it's
Mhm.
and just kind of like how my coaches have coached me. But
Yeah.
I have a daughter who's a college student athlete right now. She's a junior. She's a Division
Yeah.
II women's basketball player, and having her and seeing her experiences, and again, just being around the student athletes every day. That's one of the things that I'm like a big shift from like the way I was brought up as a student athlete to now how my student athletes are being brought up. That's one that I'm a little bit just more cognizant of. Just the mental health side of things. When our student athletes, they have a lot on their table, especially when you're talking about student athletes at an urban school right smack downtown. There's a lot that are on their plates. So you have to be a little bit more conscious of that as an athletic director.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you on the enrollment side of things. We're very much the same way. And you hear so much at the Division I space about how much money athletics brings in or doesn't bring into whether you're a Power Five or a mid major. I think maybe what's forgot at some points is that or is maybe not realized is that for those in the small college space, we are the lifeblood of a campus, and being able to provide that experience where a small campuses are change lives in different ways. Not that it's better or different than the large school, but it is different, and it works for some people where it doesn't for others, and the survival of that in our country, I think, is really important. So yeah, you're putting it like that, it's much bigger than just going to a game.
Yeah, definitely. It is. It is.
You talk about urban. You guys are an urban campus. You're literally downtown Pittsburgh. In fact, you guys brand yourself a little bit on social media as Downtown U.
Correct.
So, what are some strategies that you guys use to make sure you're on the forefront of people's minds when competing with so much to do? A lot of small colleges are in, maybe smaller towns, and it's maybe
Yeah.
not as hard. So what do you guys have to do, to making sure you're getting people coming to games and that people know about Point Park and everything that's going on?
Yeah, the big thing that we do is just try to tell our story, right? And we make our student athletes the forefront of that. Because again, they have a unique story to tell being at a school that's located right in the middle of the city. Just right in the midst of just everything happening within Pittsburgh, whether it's the Steelers, the Penguins, the Pirates. We're like within 2 to 3 miles of where they play at those facilities, and we try to definitely just put our student athletes in the forefront as much as possible, tell our story, and just try to make sure we portray how we are different from, Pitts of the world that's in the
Mhm.
ACC, or Duquesne that's 2 miles away from us, that's in the Atlantic 10, or even Robert Morris, that's in the Horizon League. So we just try to, again, push our story out there, be relentless about doing that, and just also, show how we're a little bit different at that. And then, because we're a small university, we, you know, we have a close knit family. We try to make it a close knit family with our student athletes, so that you'll see at our games, student athletes that have graduated a year, 2, 3 years ago. They'll come back. They're still in the fold. They'll come back. They might even in the off season practice with the team and things of that nature. So again, just continue to tell our story, and putting our student athletes in the forefront, as best as possible. That's how we kind of try to differentiate ourselves from people, and try to be still in the forefront of people's mind, and just create that family atmosphere with our alums and our student athletes.
To talk a little bit about that story, and we're going to get into another question here. Just there's some really great things going on under your leadership, but what is that story? What is that Point Park story?
Well, I think one thing or two things that we just pride ourselves on is work ethic and accountability. I tell people all the time that you can have the same success here as you have at William Penn, but it just takes a little bit more work here.
Mhm.
But again, once you find that success, you'll be very happy, with the fruits of your labor. So this one, we just pride ourselves in those two things: work ethic and accountability. And again, the one thing that we're just striving to do every day, especially myself and even all my coaches, I've told my coaches about, is just trying to provide a really great student athlete experience. That's so important to me. Again, being a former student athlete, I draw from my experiences, right? I still have a group chat with some of my teammates, and we talk about some of the good, some of the bad that we went through during our experiences. And a lot of the bad, I'm just trying to, like, okay, that can't happen here. Like, I can't make
Mhm.
that happen here to my student athletes. So, and my coach is the same way too. If I talk to them, every talk we have, I think I say that multiple times so that they understand, like, number one thing, we want to provide a good student athlete experience for our student athletes.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And you obviously are doing that because something's going on with the culture at Point Park. I mean, record GPA, widespread facility improvements, the Conference Commissioners Cup. Give us some insight on what you're doing to build that culture of success.
Yeah, again, everything starts with our student athletes and our coaches. And I think our coaches too are very important in that aspect. Again, they're the ones that have more touch points with student athletes, like you,
Mhm.
myself, and other administrators. We have that
Mhm.
indirect impact, but our coaches have that direct impact on the student athletes and their experience. So again, it's just kind of continuing to tell that compelling story, to our coaches, and then our coaches understanding this is what we need to do to continue to move Point Park University up. This is what we need to do, because we look at our conference, we look at the landscape to see what others around us are doing, and we have to continue to better ourselves. And having a growth mindset as a coaching staff is so important. Even as administrators is so important. So again, it's our coaches are the big proponent of that, because they're the ones that kind of build our culture. They're the ones that are expound our culture. So hiring really great coaches has
Yeah.
been some things that I think I've been really good at. I think it's maybe a little bit from my background as a coach, and also
Mhm.
my background as a student athlete. So I've been on multiple different sides, right? As a student
Yeah.
athlete, coach, now administrator. So I think I've been blessed to be able to hire some really good coaches who really want to come in here and really want to be on the same page, and really push everything that we can do to provide a really good student athlete experience. So that's where the culture comes from. We pride ourselves again on our work ethic, and being accountable. And so again, that's basically like our brand too.
So, I mean, and clearly, as some of the changes that you made or the enhancements you've made is you're hiring the right people. You've got a consistent message on that, that work ethic, and what are some things that you look for in those coaches? Like, what are things that when you're going through the hiring process, what are things that you're looking for that are almost things that are non-negotiable as you're looking for that next coach in your program?
Um, I want a coach that has a track record of learn under multiple leaders, right? Because there's more than one way to do this as a coach. But I feel like the more experiences you have, the more experiences you can draw from, the better you're going to be able to craft your own way, right? Everybody wants to be the head coach and run their own ship. So I think that, not to say that someone that's been under like a Coach K for a long time, that's all they know and learn, not to say that they can't be successful. But I've just seen in my experiences that coaches that have learned under multiple really good coaches, they make that transition a lot quicker. Another thing that I look for, and it's not, I wouldn't say it's a non-negotiable, but it's something that I would like to have in a coach. I want a coach that's experienced success at the highest level, whether it's as a student athlete or as a coach, because what that tells me is they've been there before.
Mm-hmm.
So when they finally get there, there's no shock, there's no surprises. And on top of that, they've been part of a group that's prepared themselves to get there before. So they've experienced as a student athlete. So they've worked through a grueling season. They understand, how hard it is to get to the mountaintop. Or even as a coach, they've built it, whether it's assistant coach or head coach, they've been part of a winning program before. They know what success is. They know what you need to do to build, how to build a program and get there. So that's one of the things that I kind of always kind of like look for. Okay, where have they won a championship? Where have they experienced high level of success?
As you're talking through, you talk about, the people that, work ethic, accountability, and, how you've been able to evolve Point Park and just that transformational mindset. You're bringing people in that have had success, but also have the ability to draw from a number of different experiences, which is really building into I totally see what I totally get it now. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
On the conference level, you've had some leadership as well, of course, and you've really spearheaded this diversity internship in your conference. Talk to me about how that's come about. Obviously, very, very needed all throughout the country, and but how that come about, and what does it consist of?
I mean, so the way it came about is just with everything happening in the last couple of years, especially during the pandemic, everything happened around the country. I just felt like, just we need to, as a conference, do something for our student athletes in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I was just kind of just racking my brain, like, what can we do? What are those student athletes going to identify with? So initially, what they started with just creating a DEI committee within our conference, made up of head coaches, assistant coaches, administrators, and I was going to chair it. And then taking one step further, we're like, okay, what can we do? And drawing from my experiences, I was like, I wish when I was coming up as a student athlete, I knew I wanted to get into athletics, but no one really ever showed me, okay, this is how you get into athletics. This is the things you need. This is what you need to do. So we created a River States Conference Diversity Internship. And what that consists of is we advertise it through other conferences. All the committees are tasked with pushing out that message within their schools, also with all the coaches that they might know within the conference. And we have an application date, deadline date. We do interviews with the student athletes that apply to do the internship. And once we finally agree to how many interns we're going to have, what they do is, whether it's a fall semester internship or a spring semester internship, they work with the commissioner and myself throughout the semester, whether it's attending coaches meetings, conference coaches meetings, athletic director meetings. And then the culmination of the internship is they work a championship event, a conference championship event. So it builds up through the semester, where, like I said, they're attending coaches meetings just to understand what goes on in those, and athletic directors meetings, so they really understand, like, this is all the planning, all the stuff that goes on behind closed doors to let you have a season. And what I do is I try to add an extra layer of it, and I'll send the interns, I'll send them podcasts that they should listen to, webinars, maybe the women's leaders conference or groups that they should look to join. And so this past year was our first year of it. One of our interns happened to be one of my student athletes. So I took a really close-knit look. I really brought her close in terms of, okay, this is what you need to do. And one thing is, Nick, is to get far in the business, it's about people, right? You need to know people, you need to network.
Connecting, right?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, so we really pushed that message within the committee, and so our intern, the one that's my student athlete, she's got a chance when she worked the volleyball conference championship. She met the AD at when she went there. She met the AD of the school, which is a public school, so it's different than us. A state school is different than us, and she got to kind of like shadow him to see how he does things different than I do. She met the VP. She met the provost there at the university, who was an African American lady, met her and got to know her. And then later on this month too, I connected her with Heather Like, the athletic director at Pitt. And Heather is one of the very few Power Five female athletic directors. So she's gonna get to sit down, have lunch with her. And again, that's a huge connection for her in terms of what she wants to do, because all of these interns, their aspirations is to work in athletics. And what better way to provide them just a framework of what they need to do, and also provide them some connections, a network that they can build off of. So when they graduate, like Sierra, when she graduates, she's already sat down and had lunch with Heather Light. She has her email address, she has her phone number, she's touching base with her. So whether Heather has something in her department or Heather knows somebody else that might have a need for her, she's already getting off to a way better start than I got off to.
Yeah, you know, I noticed this when I started in this role, coming from coaching and over. I mean, there's a connection and a network among coaches, but I always kind of felt like that network was more so intrinsic instead of extrinsic in a way. So like one thing I've noticed in the AD world is that people are a lot more willing to connect people to people.
Correct.
Where usually like in the coaching world, there's really, I'm connecting you because it's going to benefit me in some sense. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but coaches are, you know, they're taking care of their program, which is what we hire them to do. But, you know, and so I've really noticed that, and that was kind of a big change to change the perspective. Like, wow, Jim Abbott wants to connect me with these people.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about Bosca, because that's, you know, you and I connected on social media and everything like that, and we met at Bosca and all that, and you know, going to Bosca 6 years ago now in Oklahoma City. I was like 29 years old or whatever, starting this role. I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
Yeah.
And then I connected with all these people and I'm like, holy cow, like they have some similar challenges. So talk about Bosca, and that's how that's helped you connect. But just like also the connection among administrators, like it's different. And how has that been kind of uplifting in a way at times?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what you said in terms of administrators just so willing to be able to just take calls, take emails, and kind of help you out, and with not really holding their hand out in terms of, okay, what are you gonna provide me in return? And I think that's the same thing that happened with me. I started seeing the Bosca stuff on Twitter, and I was like, who's this Jim Abbott guy? And I Googled him. I was like,
He's
okay,
a legend.
wow, this guy has an amazing resume. Like his background is unbelievable. So I just reached out to him, like, hey, told him about my story, Point Park. I think I was my second year at that time. Would love to kind of learn more. And he's like, hey, I got a group of guys I think you should connect with. Again, connecting with a bunch of people, and there, you know, through those conversations, found out about actually the Bosca event, and it was just, it's really, again, I came back from that, I was like fired up, ready to go with so many ideas, because it's like you said, you know, the same challenges you face are the same challenges a lot of these people are facing, and then they're so willing to like, yeah, I'll send you this document, I'll send you this, you need to do this, this is what we did, this is how it worked, and they're so willing to talk with you, because again, what I really liked about it is not only are they able to willing to talk to you and give you tips of the trade, but they're also able to say, hey, I did this, it went wrong, so don't do this, do that, go about it this way. So that's really been very uplifting, and again, it's just a great group of people. Like I told you before we got on, you know, being able to meet all those people on Twitter, and then going to my first Bosca last summer was very thrilling to be able to just meet people in person and really get to know people. So yeah, it's been really good. I'm looking forward to the next one. But
you're gonna go, right?
Yeah, I'm there. All
right, I'm there too. I know it's people like Jim Abbott, you know, just transformational. And you know, I went into Bosca that year very unsure if I had made the right choice to lead in this, and I knew I wanted to, but I was just not sure I was capable. And I walked out, driving out of Oklahoma City on I-35. I was like, okay, like you know, energized, like, okay, I can do this. Let's go. Like, not only can I do this, if I have a question, I've got 100 people back there that would answer my phone call, you know? And I'll remember that moment the rest of my life. I remember exactly where I was passing on the highway when I remembered that 2 days there just changed my life. And I met a bunch of people that I'm going to have some really good connections with, which is awesome.
Definitely.
Let's talk about, you alluded to a few years, kind of with the Bosque, and, a few years in your time at Point Park, then the pandemic hit. And we've talked about the pandemic until, we're blue in the face, but as we're starting to kind of come out of that, it feels in some way, shape, or form at all different levels. What are some things that you want to focus on coming out of it that you maybe set aside? Because let's be honest, I mean, we athletic directors, sports medicine people, we are frontline, on whatever response it is to just keep our schools going. But maybe some things that you set aside going into the pandemic, or maybe some things you learned during it, coming out of it, that you really want to focus on that doesn't really have anything to do with the pandemic.
Well, yeah, some things I learned going into it. So I think like right before the pandemic hit, we had created our first corporate partnership program, and then the pandemic hit. And just looking around the landscape of college athletics, you still saw people were still being aggressive with their with the revenue generation side of things. So I took that, as the athletic department, we took that upon ourselves and to kind of still move forward with it. And again, we had some pretty good success with it, especially because it's new. The athletic department here hadn't really, before I got here, hadn't really focused that much on the external revenue side of things. Mm-hmm. So we started that like right in the midst of the pandemic. And again, it went very well. And that's one thing that I'm really like trying to get back to, like focus on, this summer moving forward. Again, and talking to some of my colleagues at Bosca, and just, I'm the type of person that I reach out to multiple people, especially with the pandemic. I was just like, whoever it was, D1 AD, Power 5 AD, I was just reached out to them because, again, I just want to learn. I was just, with the time that I had in mind, I wanted to learn more about the business, and also continue to develop my network of athletic administrators. So learned a lot about the revenue generation side of things. And again, like I said, we've been having some really good success. Our golf outing last year was we had a lot of great corporate sponsors that stepped up to help us out. We want to maximize that this year and do a little bit more with our golf outing. And then, just like I said, our corporate partnership program that we started, really great success. One thing being downtown Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, we can sell that. We get traffic, we get foot traffic, right? So we sell that a lot. And then, just up until recently, we were the only show in town, right? Because all the businesses was closed down, everybody's working from home. So what do the business around us need? They needed us, right? So we can guarantee, when we can talk to hotels and say, hey, we're still having athletics. Parents are still coming in town. We're still holding things that we're going to be able to stir business towards you. When we talk to these different restaurants, things like that, they're like, you will be our corporate partner. We will send our student body, not just our student athletes, our student body, right? We have over 4,000 students here, faculty members. So, that was really a real niche that we found, that people, because a lot of offices and businesses weren't open, we were the only show in town, and we can use that to kind of market ourselves on the corporate side of things. So yeah, those are things that, again, like I learned through the pandemic, and I continue to want to focus on and take to another level. So I think it's just going to help. This is going to help to add value to our athletic department. It's going to help to, again, like our main thing, again, like I told you, is providing that great student athlete experience. We're always trying to find different niches, different ways to make it better. So I think all that external relations, external revenue side just helps us to take that to another level.
One of the things that I've heard through the pandemic, and you just hit on it here in another way, is that there were leaders that stopped leading in the pandemic just because it was just overwhelming, and that's no disrespect or anything, but then there were leaders that kept pushing forward, and good on you for not stopping that corporate partnership program and keep pushing it forward. And gosh, the loyalty you built from those businesses in Pittsburgh are probably is going to be something that's transformed, to where if you would have stopped and just said, we can't do it, we got to stop, then you would have missed out on that relationship building there. So that's awesome. Just shows your leadership that when crisis hits, it's how do we keep going, and so that's I've heard that, and what you just shared is a great example of leading through times that are turbulent. So that's awesome. And man, I'm excited to see where that corporate partnership program goes for you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. It's exciting though. Anytime the thrill that you get from being able to not just get monetary gifts from somebody or just get some funds, but to be able to create a new relationship, but also the thrill of being able to say, okay, I got these that's going to benefit this team, or that's going to benefit our student athletes. That's just a thrill that I really enjoy. And again, that's what the whole external side and the revenue generation side really helps us to do.
100%. Yeah. We get a lot. You've still got a great career ahead of you, and you've had a storied career thus far. What's maybe your most proud achievement in the profession that you maybe wouldn't read in a headline?
I think that it's when my student athletes, because again, when I was a student athlete, I barely knew again until I started like my senior year, figuring out like, I wanted to go into athletics. But all prior to that, I really didn't even know who the athletic director was. Like, I never like really had a conversation with them. Like, I had a conversation with my coaches, but things that I really enjoy is when my student athletes, are comfortable enough. They feel comfortable enough to have a conversation with me, and not sometimes about their sport, but about just other things.
Yeah,
about life. That's what really makes me feel good. Or when they come up and they feel that we've developed enough of a bond where they ask me for a letter of recommendation. Those are things that are really like, oh man, I like. They think, and it's like they come in here like, oh, Mr. Ashaolu, I don't want to bother you, but can you write me? But like, I'm like, wow, you actually bestowing that honor on me that you want a letter of recommendation. Like, I mean, like, I'll do that. I'll get that to you. I'll get that to you ASAP. So those are the things that really like make me proud of being in the profession that we're in, because we're able to have those impacts on the student athletes, and when they feel that they can talk to you about like what's next in their life to help them with their career, that says a lot. Again, that really says a lot. So that's some of the things I really enjoy about the profession.
I love it. That's awesome, man. And as we kind of sum up things here, talk about the best piece of advice you've received. Or in the same respect, you've taken it this way, for those up and comers, what's the best piece of advice you'd give to others? Either one of those or both.
Yeah, I think that, it's two things, but it's not kind of the same context, but it's like, leave it better than when you met it. And then make where you are big time. Mm-hmm. They're kind of the same. I think they kind of go together, but those are two things that I'm always in the back of my mind. Is good advice that I've gotten and kind of always get me through, tough days or just keep me going. Because again, you always think, my baseball coach says, what did he say? He says, people always think the grass is greener on the other side. He's like, but the water bill's higher too. So, you never just like always think, okay, that person has it better, just, really work hard where you're at, make that spot big time. And then, if you're doing that, you're going to leave it better than what you met it. So yeah, those are definitely two things, two advice that always come to mind.
I love it, man. Make it big time. That's awesome. John Ashaolu, man, it's been a pleasure. Been wanting to do this. We first traded DMs about this probably 4 or 5 months ago. We've been able to make it happen. And
I was like, Nick forgot about me, man. I was like, Nick's big time at me.
No, man, I'm excited. This is good stuff. And I'm glad we could connect again, and looking forward to seeing you at Bosca. And I don't know, you going to go to the NAI convention?
Yeah, I'm there too. I'm there at the NAI convention. I'll be there. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll see you there, man. We'll have to get a bite to eat, but some of that great KC barbecue, and then we'll compare it to Oklahoma barbecue and tell Jim Abbott what's better.
Definitely. Looking forward to it.
All right, folks, that concludes this episode of Small College Conversations, part of the Business of Small College Athletics, commonly referred to as BOSCA. Again, powered by Blue Frame Technologies. Great conversation today. Look for more on all of our podcast platforms and YouTube. John, again, it's a pleasure. We'll look forward to connecting again.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you, Nick.